Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the City of Lincoln's regular meeting of the City Council. This meeting will be televised and available on cable channel 18, as well as available via Zoom. Tonight's invocation will be given by Scott Stewart from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Once the invocation has concluded, Mayor Andreatta will call the meeting to order. Scott, we're ready to proceed.
Our Heavenly Father, at the beginning of this city council meeting, we come before Thee tonight, and we express our gratitude for the many blessings that we enjoy in this community. We're so thankful to be a part of the wonderful city of Lincoln, for the people and families and individuals that make up this community. We're mindful of those that are struggling with the effect of fire in our state. We pray for them. We especially pray for those first responders, that they may be protected, that they may be efficient in their operations, that they can have the ability and resources that they need to help people and restore life as soon as possible. We're truly thankful for all the people that make this community possible. We're grateful for our city council. We pray for them and all of the city staff and others, and may they be protected in all that they do. We are especially mindful tonight of our youth in our community, for the wonderful blessings that they are to us. We pray for them, that they may be watched over and protected. Help us to be mindful of them and their needs, that we may design programs and give them opportunities to fulfill their purpose here at this time. We are so thankful for all that we have, and we ask Thy blessings to be here tonight and do this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. Called meeting to order. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Lincoln, January 14th, 2025 regular City Council meeting, Lincoln Redevelopment Successor Agency, Lincoln Public Financing Authority. Good to have all of you, and thank you for your patience running just a couple minutes behind. Hope, will you do the roll call, please?
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Reedy. Councilmember Pearl.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Eklund.
Here.
Mayor Andreatta.
Here. Thank you very much. Item number 3, report from closed session.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There is no reportable action from closed session.
Thank you. Item number 4, Pledge of Allegiance. Could I get Coach Bean to do the Pledge of Allegiance for us? Thank you. Oh, yes, have the boys do it. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. Yes.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, item number 5, agenda modifications. I'm going to ask, if it's fine with the council and the city attorney, if we could please move item 10D up to right after public comment, right before consent, if that's okay. Just because we have a lot of people here from the community who have been appointed to committees. I mean, our appointments could wait, but I don't want them to sit and wait to the very end because we just want to recognize them. Would that be okay? Does anybody have a problem with that?
The only thing is I had one of our planning commissioners come a little bit late.
Okay.
He's
Well, we have
probably
a few,
like 6:30.
we have a few presentations before that. So we
Perfect.
should be fine.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Anybody else have any agenda modifications?
No.
Great. Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it. So I will just move this up here. Okay, all right. Item number 6, presentation 6A. We have a Lincoln Firefighters Community Service Award presentation. And I think Chief Mejia is going to do that, correct?
fire chief. Tonight, I'm going to be giving a presentation to 3 of our Lincoln firefighters for Community Service Awards. Also, I'm going to give you a report on 2 recent community events that the Lincoln Fire Department participated in. So the first event I'm going to give a report on is our 11th annual turkey drive. This year, we collected over 1,100 turkeys. This is a big community event. We host it, but really it's supplied by a lot of volunteers. Pretty much the whole Lincoln High School, baseball, football teams, cheerleading teams all came out. Rotary, 4th of July Foundation. We had volunteers from Starbucks. This is obviously a co-hosted event with the salt mine. We had a lot of off-duty Lincoln firefighters that participated in this. A lot of city staff came, donated, helped out as well, council, the mayor. And so this event, I think, is just a huge event in the sense that if we really think about that, over 1,000 families got a Thanksgiving dinner off of this event and all of the community support with it. And the fact that the Lincoln Fire Department was able to host it was pretty huge. The next event is our 2024 Santa Tours. So this has been going on for 16 years. We've been providing these tours to the community. Really, we did over 60 miles through different neighborhoods this year. We passed out over 6,000 candy canes. We had over 400 people come to our open house event for Santa and take a photo. And then we also had an interactive app that Sid from IT had created. And the app kind of tracked where Santa's location was at. It allowed the community to really come engaged and not have to sit out in the cold for too long until we showed up. I got to participate in this event firsthand. My family and I were a lead fire engine, which was a lot of responsibility, making sure I didn't route Santa down the wrong way. But I got to see firsthand what an impact this had on the community. All the joy this thing brought. I think it's a huge tradition that's been started. And so I just wanted to make sure that you guys had a report on this. So tonight, I'm going to be giving out, in light of these 2 events, 3 community service awards. So I'll have 2 of the people right now come step up. We have engineer Ron Olson. He's not going to be able to be here tonight, but I'm still going to want to recognize his efforts. We have Fire Captain Billy Hartley. And then we also are going to have, they're a little shy. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get them all up here. I gave them the instructions, they just didn't execute right where. But then we have Fire Captain Norm Kent. So what is a community service award? A community service award is when one of our firefighters really goes above and beyond the call of duty and wants to do something meaningful and impactful for our community. And I think with that, I mean, with all the responsibilities firefighters have on them these days, for these guys to really sit here and think of another way to serve their community, I just think it's a good way to give them recognition. So tonight, these 3 firefighters are all 20-year veterans. They've all been in the Lincoln Fire Department pretty much since the inception of it being a paid fire department. They're very well respected. They have a great reputation. And again, I think that when they lead programs like this, it really encourages a lot of our younger firefighters to want to follow suit, and it really creates a good culture. So the first person that I want to acknowledge tonight is Engineer Ron Olson. Ron Olson, even though he's not here, he's been running the annual turkey drive since 2018. He's really been a part of thousands of families receiving Thanksgiving meals because of his efforts. But he does a lot of the logistical stuff on the backside. I mean, he's getting the volunteer groups to come together. He's setting up the fire station to make it operational so we can do this event. But one thing that's special about Ron is even the day after this event was over, I was like, hey, what was the final count? He was like, it wasn't high enough. I want to get it better next year. I need to do more advertising. And he's already thinking of another way to get the event better and to bring more people in on it, the younger firefighters, and get some more help with that as well. With that, tonight I'd want to recognize him with a Community Service Award. I'll hand him to that in person when I see him next. And the next person is Fire Captain Billy Hartley. Fire Captain Billy Hartley has really been our driving force for the last 14 years behind our Santa Tours. This is an event that's personal to him, and he's experienced it as a young kid, and he wanted to carry this tradition on through the Lincoln Fire Department. And again, Captain Hartley, I saw him starting to work. He's figuring out the routes. He wanted to make sure he was making the routes fair, certain houses that weren't seen last year, put a lot of time and energy into it. And on top of it, handled all the logistics, getting Santa's sleigh ready, making sure Santa and Mrs. Claus's busy schedule could fit into our timeline. And then being a part of it, he's orchestrating the whole thing, the engines leading in, very professional. And again, I think what he's turned this event into is something that's a very hallmark tradition for the city of Lincoln. and I think it's very special. So for that, I want to recognize Captain Hartley with this Community Service Award. Okay, last but definitely not least, we have Captain Kent. Captain Kent is very special when it comes to these two events because he has his hands in both of them. Coming to find out, I wanted to find out, in my years of service with doing the fire department, I haven't seen these two events. These are unique events. You don't see the turkey drives throughout, the United States or California. This is something that is very unique to the city of Lincoln. And so I had asked Engineer Olson, how did this begin? And he basically told me that Captain Kent was the first one to start it. So I had a conversation with him, and that conversation was that he had went on some incidents, had saw the need of certain families going without a Thanksgiving meal and wanted to do something about it. So he started the very first turkey drive, and he kept it for many years. But, just off of his efforts right there, look at what he set forth that's just foundational for our city, for our fire department. And so that's the first event he was a part of. The second event he was a part of was the Santa Tours. That one was probably a little bit more impromptu on a starting, but basically he said he commandeered some sort of Santa suit, threw a firefighter on top, blasted it on social media, and it ended up having a lot of people attending it. So, and then that thing has grown over the years as well. So with that, those are the two things that I want to recognize him for. But the last one I really want to recognize him with is Captain Kent right now is going to be retiring due to an on-duty injury. So it's not essentially under his full terms. So tonight I want to recognize him for these two amazing community events that you have started for the city of Lincoln, for our fire department, but then also for your many years of service. So I appreciate you. End of report. That's all I got for you.
Thank you. All right. So hold tight. We're going to get a picture with you in just a second. But before we do that, because usually after the picture, then everybody moves around, I want to give the council an opportunity to make comments if you'd like to. We can start with John over here if you want.
Yeah, I would just ditto everything that you said. It's an amazing thing. My daughter's a little older now, but look forward to the Santa cause coming down our street when she was younger. So I just appreciate all that the fire department and everyone in the department does on behalf of the city. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your service and for everything you guys do for our community and the way that you have set apart yourselves in being a mentor for the other firefighters coming up. I mean, aside from all the other things that have been said, that to me is another way to show that we care about our community and can instill, just like we can instill in our youth, younger people, that community is the main part of our lives. And if we don't pass that on through our actions and deeds that we do, then we lose that. And we want to keep that here in Lincoln. So thank you very much for being that for others.
Well, this is just one of the many examples and reasons why our Lincoln Fire Department is so beloved. You guys do all of the extra things and go the extra mile in our community. And it's just really heartwarming. And I know that you're extremely valued and appreciated. It's touching that and sad that there are people that weren't getting Thanksgiving meals. And yeah, I'm just extremely grateful on behalf of all of those people and all the people that you serve in your regular day job. And it's also extra special again that you were born, or you had that experience as a youth and you've stayed here, and I think that makes it extra special that you've maintained and stayed in your own community. So yeah, thank you.
I'd like to thank you guys for the service over the years. I've been a part of the turkey drive for a number of years through Rotary. And it's just amazing to see the number of cars come through and people open up their trunks and there's 1, 2, 5, 10 turkeys in there. The church comes through with, I think, about 150 turkeys. It's an amazing outpouring of love for the community. And this last year I was able to go over to the salt mine to watch the back end side of it. Seeing the people come through there who are so appreciative
of the work that this community has done. You guys are the driving force behind it. So thank you, thank you.
So I just like to say I'm sorry that Engineer Olson couldn't be here because I know he does so much. And just for the two of you, Captain Kent and Captain Hartley, the, we always talk about the things that make Lincoln, you know, the parades, the 4th of July, the Christmas parade, but really too, the Santa tours, like the town gets so excited about that. The turkey drive is really an opportunity for everyone to come together on the same project in town, working together. Richard alluded to, my church has taken that on as a challenge for our congregation every year. And that's what we do for that holiday is the turkey drive. And we challenge ourselves every year to bring more because of the work that you guys do. And so, and not only, I see you guys out doing everything. Billy was going to build our council float this Christmas and I got wrestled from him, but he saw how lame we were the year before. And he said, you guys need help. And so just, you know, I always say that nobody comes together like Lincoln, but really our fire department, nobody does it like you guys. And how hard you've worked over the years before we were able to hire 9 new firefighters, everything that you guys have done, the way that you care about this city, we just want you to know that we really appreciate it. And from the bottom of our hearts. And Captain Kent, I'm sorry to see you go. Godspeed for whatever is next for you. Be praying for you and thank you for your service. Thank you. Let's take a picture.
Oh.
Really quickly, is there anybody from the public that would like to make a quick comment about this? We usually open up to me. I know everybody probably could say something, but is there anybody that has a burning desire to make a comment about this? Anybody online? Okay. All right, that was awesome. Thank you. Okay. Item 6B, we have another proclamation for recognizing the 12 Bridges football team and reaching Division II AA state championship. And we're going to read the proclamation and then we'll take some pictures with you guys too when we present it to you. After the opening paragraph, I'm going to have the council help me here. Do you guys have this item pulled up on your devices, please? Can you? So Councilmember Reedy, would you read the first whereas? Councilmember Brown, you read the second. Councilmember Eklund, read the third. Councilmember Pearl will read the fourth, and I will finish the now therefore.
Whereas, okay, ready?
Hold on. Proclamation of the City Council of the City of Lincoln recognizing the 12 Bridges football team and reaching the Division II AA state championship.
Whereas the 12 Bridges High School varsity football team has demonstrated exceptional talent, teamwork, and dedication throughout the 2024 season, earning the respect and admiration of the Lincoln community, and
Whereas under the leadership of head coach Chris Bean and outstanding coaching staff, the team has excelled both on and off the field, exemplifying the values of hard work, perseverance, and sportsmanship. And
Whereas the 12 Bridges varsity football team made school history by reaching the Division II AA state championships, finishing the season with a 14-1 record, a remarkable accomplishment that has brought pride and recognition to our community. And
Whereas the city of Lincoln commends the 12 Bridges varsity football team for their exceptional achievements and wishes their continued success in their future endeavors, both off and on the field.
Now therefore be it proclaimed that the City of Lincoln does hereby recognize and honor the 12 Bridges High School football team for their outstanding achievement and for representing our city with integrity, determination, and excellence. excellence. And hopefully, I'll take a motion to accept this and we can pass and adopt this on the 14th day of January, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes, congratulations. Really quick, we're going to take a picture and I'm going to give you a chance. Actually, Coach, do you want to come say a few words before we grab a picture? And yes, sorry.
First and foremost, thank you. Like, obviously, such a blessing and an honor to represent Lincoln. That was something that I said after the section championship game. Sometimes there's a little bit of a removal from Lincoln when you're in 12 Bridges, but wherever we go, we say we're Lincoln. And we really mean that. And, I was fortunate to be interviewed and I said, this is not just for 12 Bridges High School, this is for the town of Lincoln. We're just so blessed with so much support. See our superintendent, Carrie Callahan here, my amazing principal, Heather Pierce, my amazing assistant principal, Chris Bombard. And the reason why we're here, my other most dependable guy back there, Grant Fowler, is my head sort of assistant head coach and everything. I couldn't do without him, but really it's these kids. And I wish all 70 of them could be here. I have my chaplain back here, Marcos Diaz. He's also a part of this team and he was injured this year, but we find different roles and he prayed for us every single game to make sure we try to get out of there, injury free. So we thank you. It was an honor to represent Lincoln. We really didn't want to win that game. We wanted to save it for future generations.
Right.
Where do you go from there? You go 15-0, you might as well retire. So on top of things, just everything that's been done, I have 6 years of videos of my kids going out to see Santa, just so you know, and everybody that's a part of that. I have one of my former Lincoln High School football players back here in PJ Manley, Evan Faddis. I coached his kids. He's a huge part of it. Like, this is why we're Lincoln. This is why we love the town of Lincoln and couldn't be more proud to represent everybody in this room and in this town.
Thank you, Coach. Two things.
Yes, ma'am.
My husband is one of the coaches for Roseville High School, so we got to see you up close and personal.
Yes, ma'am.
And, I think maybe if we hadn't been so injured, we might have taken you, but
Yeah.
we'll let you
We're gonna
out
find
this
out.
year.
We're
Yeah.
gonna find out.
No, you guys had the most amazing season and all eyes are on you and you guys performed wonderfully. Secondly, I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart how much I appreciated your comments about this is Lincoln, not 12 Bridges, not whatever, because there is a little bit of a divide and we work really hard to not have that, right? And so for you to say that and for you to recognize it, that just shows your character and it teaches your boys something and I really appreciate that. So thank you. Congratulations. We are all very, very proud of you.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Very much, very proud of you. Thank you. I do want to give the council a chance to comment if they want to, and then anybody in the public who would like to say something to the football team before they all scurry out of here.
Well, I'll start off before,
they're gone.
okay, they're gone, okay.
Okay.
I'm going to say it anyway. You know, I think what's happening is not only have they created just a wonderful program over there, but they're also obviously creating the youth of tomorrow, our leaders of tomorrow, because that's how a team gets put together.
Yes.
And it's just marvelous to see them do it. Thank you. Next year, all the way, guys.
All the way. Yep. You're welcome. All right. All right, moving on to Item number 7, public comment on non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. This is where anybody in the room or online has the opportunity to make a public comment about any item that is not already on our agenda. You'll have 3 minutes. And it needs to be something that's within our purview that we have control over, although we like to hear everybody's thoughts. Did you have any cards, Hope? Was there anybody? Okay, that's fine. You don't actually have to have one, but is there anybody in the room that would like to make public comment on anything not on the agenda? Wow, really? Okay. Come on up to the mic. Woo-hoo.
First time here,
Hi,
and I haven't even looked at the agenda, but I'm assuming it's not on there.
okay.
I do business in Lincoln, but I don't live in Lincoln, but I drive Lincoln every day, and I live out in the country. Gladding Road. I'm sure you guys are all aware of Gladding Road. Why can't we get you guys to do an encroachment where that cement company is? You guys repaved it, but it's still full of gravel. And I know anywhere else in Placer County, a business should have an encroachment out onto the city road, and all they have is gravel. Last year, and I'm not here to collect any money, but last year I was behind a cement truck and got a rock in my windshield. I even went and filed a complaint. Talked to a young lady. She said they look into it. That was last year, 23. I know we're already in 25, so 2023. And then, I don't know, I drive that road 2 or 3 times a day. My family does too. The other thing that I noticed was one day there was a motorcycle in front of me. He was coming to get on the 65 right there, dumped the motorcycle because of the gravel. So I'm just here as a public comment. Maybe you should put it on the agenda or at least talk about it and put an encroachment there. Before that cement company was bought out this last time, I'm pretty sure they exited out on the old 65. And now they're exiting out onto Gladding. You guys just repaved it and they literally are just beating it up every day with their trucks. Now, I think you guys are doing every Friday where you're sweeping it, because every Friday, all of a sudden it's cleared by the end of the day. And then by Tuesday or Wednesday, it's just full of gravel again.
Okay.
So there's my public comment. That's it.
Well, really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
Got it.
Do you want to? Or,
I don't think we need to discuss it. It just sounds like a maintenance thing that we could try to address. So if we could maybe get contact info for you before you take
Sure.
off, we'll follow up.
Great.
thank you. Appreciate that. Bring it to our attention.
Matt's itching to say something.
Yeah, my understanding, I could check with Vin and his group, but we did a CIP out there and we did have some communications with that business. And my understanding was that once we paved, they were going to complete their encroachment and their driveway. So I'm not sure where we're at, but I can report back.
Yeah, that would be
But my
great. Thank you.
understanding was if we paved it, they would complete that part of their encroachment so that we wouldn't have the gravel tracking.
Okay, thank you. And then if you will follow up with the gentleman, get his information, appreciate that. Okay, any other public comment? Anybody online, Hope? Nope. Okay, all right, I'll close public comment. And then we're going to go to item 10D. We agreed to do that now, and we are going to, let me jump back over here. Adopt Resolution 2025-010, approving the city council appointments to the City of Lincoln committees, commissions, and boards, and the External Joint Power Agency regional boards and committees, and receiving local appointment list as required by California Government Code 54970. And we also, so that's our appointments and also community appointments. And so I'm not sure what our order here, but so I think I'm just going to go ahead and read who we've appointed. Is that appropriate? And, okay.
Yeah, we can do
Oh, who is doing that?
that. Hope is.
Oh, Hope, go ahead. Thank you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Hope. Thank you.
It's okay. So this evening, we are bringing to you the agenda item of the City of Lincoln City Council Regional and City Committees appointments, as well as the appointments to our boards, commissions, and committees. So just a little background. Each December, the City of Lincoln mayor rotates and the incoming mayor creates a list of city and regional appointments for council members. The action before council tonight is to approve the recommendations made by city council for city committees and by Mayor Andreatta for regional committees. This item was introduced and tabled at our December 10th city council meeting. Additionally, Government Code Section 54970, known as the MATI Act, requires the city council to annually prepare a list of all regular and ongoing boards, commissions, and committees which are appointed by the city council of the city of Lincoln, with the names of the incumbent appointee, the date of the appointment, the date the term expires, and the necessary qualifications of the position. The MATI Act also requires that this list is posted at the public library and is made available to members of the public. So staff recommends that city council adopt the resolution approving the city council appointments to the City of Lincoln committees, commissions, and boards, as well as the external joint power agencies, regional boards, and committees, and receives the local appointment list as required by California Government Code 54970.
Right.
If you
Thank
have any
very much.
questions, please let me know.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. So, so the community knows who's applied to our city committees and who the council has appointed. For the airport committee, we have appointed Bob Cooperrider. For Economic Development Committee, known as EDC, we have appointed Faraz Mahmood and Andrea Faria. For our Fiscal and Investment Oversight Committee, our new treasurer, Greg Kevin, is the chair of that, and we have appointed Kim Tucker Knotts, Clark Osterhout, Ron Dolensek, and Lisa Jackson. For our Library Advisory Board, we have reappointed Joanne Schumacher, Lynn Snyder, and a new appointment, David Villegas. Our Library Advisory Committee, it's the same, we call it the Lab Black, it's the same three people. And Park and Rec Committee, we have reappointed Joel Slaughter, Stephen Ernst, Matt Lundgren, and new appointees, Tawny Dotson and Joey Sukhpani. And then David Villegas is also going to take that for a 2-year seat that was vacated by a resignation. And he's got great skills in both areas. And then for our Planning Commission, we have reappointed Peter Gilbert, Michelle Hutchinson, and and Jerry Johnson also, and new appointees, Nathan Herzog, and then Tony Manning is coming back to the Planning Commission. And so those are our community appointees, and we're very thankful for your service and your willingness to spend some time helping us with our committees. And with that, open up to council comments or questions, and then we'll take public comment and then we'll vote. Bade.
Yeah, I will, I wanted to introduce Nathan Herzog, who's my appointment for Planning Commissioner to the community as he's new. And I just put together a little introduction, and I don't know if you want to say anything or not, or, but I just wanted to formally introduce Nathan as Nathan brings a wealth of knowledge and leadership experience to this role as the Dean of Education at William Jessup University. Has demonstrated a deep commitment to shaping future leaders and fostering innovation in education. His prior service as a planning commissioner with the County of Placer is an example of his experience that he brings and knowledge in the planning process. I chose Nathan for this role not only because of his professional qualifications, but also for his personal values. As a family man and an avid cyclist, he deeply understands the importance of preserving open spaces while balancing the economic and developmental needs of our growing city. His emphasis on the significance of schools and his ability to navigate the intersection of education, community, and sustainable development make him an exceptional choice. And I think that you will be a great addition to the city of Lincoln, and thank you for your service. Yeah, would you like to?
Yeah, go ahead, Nathan, I'll let you speak. But actually, I was going to ask if anybody whose name I just called, could you please stand up so we could recognize you all that are, yes, awesome. Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate your service. Thank you. And if any of you would like to say anything, you are welcome. But Nathan, you go ahead and go first since, and so just so the community understands, when new council members come on, they actually have a specific appointment. They get each one, and then whatever spaces are left, then we collaborate together and we decide. So that's why Whitney wanted to recognize Nathan personally, because she chose you specifically. So go ahead. Yeah.
The city of Lincoln, appreciate the appointment. I'll do my best, like everyone else. Congratulations to everyone.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Would any other appointees like to say anything? You don't have to, but you are very welcome to. Oh, you're all chicken.
I'm not chicken. I've just made enough speeches.
Yes, that's true, Peter. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yes, I was going to say thank you, Peter. Peter Gilbert was my appointee to the Planning Commission. He's been on the Planning Commission for a long time and was also a member of the city council here and a mayor here. So thank you again for willing to serve. And also, I was very pleased to encourage Faraz Mahmood to join the Economic Development Committee here. Faraz has the UPS store in the Safeway Shopping Center and Papa Murphy's. And he's going to be, I think, a very valued citizen of this community.
Yeah,
So thank
absolutely.
you,
Very
Faraz.
excited. Yes, and I had appointed Tony Manning back when I first got elected, and then he stepped off for a while, and I asked him to come back, and he so graciously did. So we're happy to have you back, Tony. It's going to be awesome.
Welcome
And then,
back.
yeah, was that?
Welcome
Yes,
back.
welcome back. You guys have any other comments? Okay, I think there wasn't any more public comment. Anybody online? Okay. Okay, back to you.
I just want to thank everyone for volunteering. The city only functions because of its citizens volunteering for these committees, and we expect to see some future council members out of this bunch in the future as we step off. So thank you for your service to the city. I appreciate it.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that you're absolutely right about the function of the city is, and the committees and those that serve on those are very crucial. Helps out in every aspect of what we do in the city. So thank you.
Very good. All right, and I don't want those of you who were newly appointed that we don't know as well yet to feel slighted that you weren't talked about specifically. We're just getting to know you, but we are just as grateful for you as the ones that we've called out by name. So I don't want anybody to feel like you're left out. We're very grateful for all of you. Okay, are there any other comments on this item at all? Okay, if you guys are ready, I'll take a motion and a vote.
I'll move to adopt resolution 2025-010.
I just wanna-
Oh,
Oh, no, I just want to make sure because the online one didn't have the most recent version of one of the pages. Just to be clear, that's the one we're approving.
The list was revised and in one section on the website, it was not updated, but on the agendas and minutes, it was updated. Yes, thank you.
On that.
I'll second.
Okay, got a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriotta.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. Thank you again, everybody. Congratulations. Now you can quietly get up and leave if you don't want to sit here for the rest of it, but actually it should be a requirement that you have to sit and listen to the rest of this meeting. Okay, on to item 8, consent. The consent agenda is made up of routine items that is usually handled in one motion unless there is an item that council wants to pull or the public wants to pull. Is there any consent items that council wishes to pull for discussion? Anybody from the public have an item? Mr. Chapman?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, 8D. Is that the only one, sir? Okay, all right, we will hold 8D for discussion. If there's no other comments or questions, I'll take a motion to approve the rest of the consent.
I'll move to approve the rest of the consent.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriotta.
Yes. Okay, item 8D, adopt resolution 2025-004, authorizing the augmentation of revenue and expense accounts to reflect grant awards received by the Lincoln Police Department for a total award amount of $223,500. Mr. Chapman, did you have a specific question or do you want to report on that first?
Essentially, well, just a question, Mayor. Reading through the packet, totally, absolutely elated in the fact that the police department was able to get all of these programs for us. My only question was, it says here for how long they run, but once that exhausts itself to that point, does the city, will they continue with those programs, or is it based on more grants, or how would that function work?
Okay,
That's all.
thanks. Chief Alves, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, so a number of the grants, a lot of the funding was for equipment, so that will be used in perpetuity. Some of the grants do pay for overtime for special focused enforcement, so seatbelt or cannabis DUI or DUI checkpoints. So I would anticipate a decrease in that simply because we'd be paying for it out of pocket, but it's still in the public interest for us to continue these programs. So we will do our best to continue to have DUI checkpoints and do some directed enforcement, but it wouldn't be as much since it's not 100% funded.
Thank you. Did that answer your question, Mr. Chapman? Okay, great. Is there any other public comment on this item? Any questions from the council? Okay, then I will accept a motion to approve item 8D.
I'll move.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Reedy,
yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriata.
Yes. Hey, thank you. Okay, item number 9, public hearing. 9A, staff recommends the council conduct a public hearing and waive first reading and adopt by title only an ordinance 1085B, amending Lincoln Municipal Code, Chapter 9.40, regarding camping on both private and public property, and further finding the ordinance is exempt from the environmental review under the California Environmental Quality Act. Ms. Mollenkopf, are you going to do this one?
I am.
Awesome,
Thank you,
thank you.
Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, council members. This is before you a revision to our ordinance regarding camping on public and private property. This is Lincoln Municipal Code, Chapter 9.40. As some of you recall, and maybe those of you that were following along at home, when we had the Martin versus Boise decision come down, it really changed the environment within which law enforcement was able to enforce our camping ordinances. And so we made some changes a few years ago in order to bring our ordinance into compliance with that Martin versus Boise decision. Well, again, now the Supreme Court has been able to weigh in on the Johnson versus Grants Pass case, which was a case that came down subsequent to Martin but was interpreting Martin. And so the U.S. Supreme Court has taken that case up and basically said that local municipalities have the right to enforce anti-camping ordinances within their jurisdictions. So what I've done is I took what was basically the guts of our existing ordinance, which we worked very long and hard on, and just gave it a little bit more teeth. And I'll go over that with you in a second. Excuse me, getting over a little bit of a cold. But what I really wanted to focus on in this report, for the benefit of our community, the public, council, is I really tried to give a white paper on what it is that the city of Lincoln has done over the past several years in responding to our unhoused population and the concerns that our community has in responding to those individuals and sometimes the problems that they can create. So we've actually created several opportunities to work with that community, and that has included our temporary transitional emergency housing program that's being housed by a local faith congregation here in town. We're receiving wonderful success. We have 2 individuals currently residing, and they are fully gainfully employed and on their way to getting into more permanent housing solutions. We also have our homeless task force that meets on a monthly basis. That is comprised of myself as the chair. We're joined by not only Lincoln Police Department and our code enforcement divisions, but also Placer, probation, health and human services, and then members of our community that are involved with not only our transitional housing program, but also our Adopt a Creek program. We get together once a month and we talk about what's working, what's not working, what things we're seeing change out in the street, and how we can best respond and work with our community partners like the Lighthouse and the Salt Mine in order to address the needs of our community. And then certainly last but not least, an important rung on the ladder of our homeless services in Lincoln is our Adopt a Creek program that has celebrated 5 years. I think we just circulated a statistic that in 2024, somebody's going to have to remind me of the numbers because I'm blanking on it now. They removed 62,000 pounds of trash from our ravine system. And so that's based on a collaboration not only with the volunteer crew that does that, but also a really ingenious effort by that team to work with our homeless that do live in these encampments to get them to bag their own trash and to take some responsibility and accountability for what they are doing and impact that they're having on our community environment. And so those bags are then placed in designated locations, so it makes it easier for our volunteers. They're not traipsing all over the ravine with grabbers, but they're able to more efficiently use their time. But 62,000 pounds of garbage removed by an all-volunteer team, working hand in hand with our unhoused population. So that is an impressive program, not one that I've seen anywhere else across the country, but it is, again, we're talking about a testament to the people of this community and what they're willing to do to help serve each other. And I think that is a really powerful statement. So turning to the, so I would encourage anyone in the audience who's curious, especially I know with the TGI litigation pending, there are a lot of questions about what is it that the city of Lincoln has done or is doing for our unhoused population. And I think this staff report gives you a real good discussion on what it is that we are doing and that the compassion that our police officers and staff and community members do have in working with this population. And I am, of course, anyone in the community that wants to talk about it or get involved knows where to reach me here at City Hall, and I'd be happy to encourage them to do that. So the substantive changes to our ordinance, and these came in collaboration with working with Officers Parson and Rogers, who are here with us tonight. They are our two community-oriented policing officers that really work hand in glove with my code enforcement team. And between those two departments, they are down in that ravine at least daily, addressing issues and trying to work to gain compliance and also to hopefully continue to make those interactions that at someday we're hopeful that they will be willing to receive services and work to better their condition and their housing situations. So the changes to our ordinance, section 9.40.010, let me turn to that, really addresses some definitions. It changes the definition of encampment to the location of, it was previously 4 or more individuals camping in proximity, and it's reducing that number to 2. And then the definition of personal property is being further specified. We received a lot of concerned statements, and there was a lot of confusion about what constitutes personal property that the city then has an obligation to store if we do remove an encampment from the ravine or any other location. And so we wanted to make it very clear that personal property isn't just property that you just happen to come across, take out of a dumpster and have it in your encampment, right? That this is actually items of irreplaceable, tangible items of personal value. And we give an example of such things as cash, family photographs, legally prescribed medication, and government-issued identified documentations. Because what we found in many instances is that people would be upset because we would throw away, really filthy clothing or bedding items that had been subject to the wind and weather, and they just were not, it was not sanitarily available for the city to really store them in any meaningful capacity. What we've also found is that those items are very largely replaceable. We've had a number of instances where we evacuate a camp, we dispose of the items, and lo and behold, once that individual's is released from jail or their exclusion order is expired, they're back on the creek, and all of a sudden they have a entire new encampment with more of the same. So we really are looking to store those items that are irreplaceable. So a laptop, personal documents, those types of things that actually have some personal value to that individual and are not easily replaceable by going to the salt mine or seeking donations from community members. The next substantive revision is in section 9.40.040. And that simply adds me as an administrator of this chapter. It was previously written so that Sean Scully was the administrator of this chapter. And given my experience in past 6 years in operating the homeless task force, I thought probably made a little more sense for me to at least jointly be able to administer this chapter. Section 9.40.050 is returned to basically the previous status where it allows for criminal prosecution of our ordinance. This is not something that I take lightly. It is not something that we're going to be, dragging our courts down with multiple criminal filings. But it does give us another tool if we do have an individual who is a recidivist, who isn't, working with us. It just gives us one more tool in the tool bag for me to be able to take forth something to the Superior Court to prosecute as an infraction or a misdemeanor, instead of hoping and expecting the district attorney's office to do it, which they're busy enough with other crimes that they're handling. It's also, we can prosecute it as a nuisance. I can administer citations and penalties and fines. So it really just opens up the sort of panoply of opportunities and options, giving us a few more tools in the toolbox, as it were, to gain compliance. So those are really the substantive changes that are being proposed to our municipal code. Our officers are here today if you have any questions about how they view the efficacy of these changes and how it'll impact their ability to perform their job functions. But with that, I'm open to any questions from council, public comment, and then would recommend we open a public hearing, take testimony, and waive first reading and adopt this ordinance by title only.
So would the council like to ask questions first and then open the public hearing, or would you like me to go to the public first?
But go to the public first.
Okay, right. We'll open the public hearing. Anybody in the room or online are welcome to come to the podium and give testimony about this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members, city staff, and those here. I'd really like to hear from the officers. I think it's important for us in the public to give us a bird's eye view of what they're dealing with and how this does affect Lincoln as a whole. And I don't think a lot of us really can get that picture unless you're really close to what's going on. I think it'd be helpful for everybody to find out that as the city attorney has pointed out, it's not an easy process. It's a very difficult thing to do, and to do that on a daily basis. I think it'd helpful for all of us in the public to understand what they're doing and the impact and what it is to make that work. Thank you.
I would agree, Mr. Chapman. Thank you. Anybody else?
6 minutes, but I'll accept my 3 and thank you for it. There's something in society today that says if you have anything negative to say about the unhoused, that you're not compassionate. And I think everybody here understands that that's simply not true. There's so many impacts outside of just the poor people that find themselves, or the unfortunate folks that find themselves in the situation of being unhoused, and the impacts it has on other people. One, I want to commend the city of Lincoln for all the other programs that you went through today, Christine, that shows the compassion of our city, right? The other thing I want to do is just encourage our council and our city leaders that we need to be diligent. Everything you're doing right now, I love it and I commend you for it. Be diligent and have the courage to take things as far as you have to take them, because we are doing the right thing. Don't let the echoes of society that if you do something or you say something that might be negative about the unhoused that says you're not compassionate, okay? We have so many great programs in our city that we went through today that if an individual finds themselves in the unfortunate position and one of someone in our community does, that they end up being unhoused, but they don't take advantage of these programs and let it help get them back on their feet, and they continue to make these impacts on our community and our children. 62,000 pounds of garbage in our open space that affect our habitat, that affect the safety of our children being in parks, that affect the beauty of our city. And people are afraid to address it because we're afraid that we might be viewed as not compassionate. And I want to thank you guys because I think that most people see that we are being compassionate. I own a business in Roseville. I own a business right by the TGI location, and I can tell you that the negative impacts that organization has brought to my business is a whole nother meeting. And I would love to take any of you that want to see what it will do to our city on a little tour. I can show you that. There's one last point I want to make. There was a gentleman that came up here today earlier during public comment, and he talked about a situation on the street right there at Gladding Road and how gravel was put on the road. I think this is a great example of one other technique that we can do as a city. If any business moves into our city and that business makes a negative impact on our environment or something in our city forces that business to mitigate that impact. If I owned a concrete company and I washed out, you guys would force me to do something to make sure that that doesn't create a negative impact on our city, and that's a great thing. You either would charge me fees, you would make me create a situation that would mitigate that. We need to treat TGI the same exact way. Not only just the lawsuit that we have on them, but any negative impacts that they make on our city, and I'm wrapping up my comments. Why can't we make them mitigate those? Street cleaners, security, all the different things. That is their responsibility and not the responsibility of us taxpayers and us members of our city to pay for the impacts that their business brings upon our city. And that's the other thing I'd like you guys to look into. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Anybody else? Anybody online? Hope? Okay, close public comment.
Mayor,
Yes.
can I just add one quick
Yeah,
thing?
of course.
So Christine works a lot. She does all kinds of things, and this takes up an inordinate amount of time. And one of the things that Tony just mentioned that I wanted to just keep out there is that keep in mind, especially as our homeless population, and I think I'm pretty confident in saying that we're one of the few communities, at least in our region, where that number is actually decreasing year over year, that this population represents less than 1/10 of 1% of our total population. And it is a massive amount of work that we spend on trying to manage it. And so I just thought that framework is really important as we think about how much time and resources we spend on relatively very few citizens of our community, to Tony's point about our compassion.
Exactly. Well, and I'll just make one comment before I open it to the council, and then we do want to hear from the officers, but I'm guessing you guys would ask questions and then they can respond to that. I had this conversation with a resident the other day, misinterpreting my word, the word I used, compassion. And what I said was, and I'll say it here in agreement with Mr. Manning, is that when showing compassion does not negate accountability. And so no one here is talking about not holding people accountable. And so I want to be really clear about that, me personally, right? There has to be accountability for people who are homeless, right? I'm sorry, I don't want to say unhoused because that's just politically correct and it's stupid. They're homeless and we are compassionate for them. And all the programs that we have done and the resources that we have poured into that clearly shows that Lincoln has been compassionate. But just because we're compassionate does not negate accountability. So I just want to say that. So we'll open it up to the council for questions or comments. I do want to hear from the officers, and then we'll move forward. So. Sure. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. I am Officer Bryce Rogers, and this is Officer Travis Parson. We're both within our specialized resource team at the Lincoln Police Department.
Riley McHugh with City of Lincoln Code Enforcement, my partner Sam Russell.
Okay, Do you guys feel like just kind of telling us how you feel it's going, or do you guys have specific questions? Because I do want to hear from you. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I wanted to hear how it's going and how you feel about what we're discussing tonight and how those changes will positively, or, how you feel like they're going to impact your job. What barriers do you feel that there are right now that we can help with, or potentially mitigate?
So I think one of the things that's the biggest impact for the city, in May of this past year in 2024, this unit was started, the specialized resource team. And what has occurred is by having both of us on this specialized unit, we're able to foster relationships with the folks down there that others may not understand what they're going through their lifestyle choice. There's certain battles that they have with substance abuse, and it's something that by us interacting with them on a daily basis, weekly basis, we understand individually what they each have their battle with. And by building those individual relationships, we're also getting respect from both us and them. And so typically we can get compliance with those relationships because we're not having to continuously hammer them. They want to have that relationship with us where they expect us to be fair to them, but we also expect a certain point of compliance with their campsite. So when we go down there, for example, typically they're already cleaning up because they heard we're down there. They don't want to disappoint us, right? And we don't want them also to fail because, at a certain point too, things can kind of fester down there, or a negative perspective can be seen on law enforcement that we're just down there and continuously harassing them. But we foster those positive relationships. So they want to ensure that their camp is cleaned up because they continuously see us. They also continuously see code enforcement. And we understand individually what they're going through. So it's not so much like a typical traffic stop we would have where we're just talking to a random person. We're building a relationship continuously with these people. And so they want to ensure that they're complying with us as well. However, with that being said, there are those also that do choose to not comply with certain things that we ask them to do. And at that point, we will take the proper and necessary enforcement if we have to. That's typically how our days go, going down there. Adopt a Creek's a great asset for us as well with cleaning up. So if a camp, for example, is out of compliance, it gets posted by them, and then either Adopt a Creek will clean it up or another private entity will clean it up. And then that's moved. One of the other tools that's helping us is the encampments was the 4 or more before. So what would happen is you would have 4 encampments together, but they'd be within like 5-10 feet. And there's just, a multitude of property surrounding, and they'd all point fingers at each other. By having that encampment as 2 or more and separating it by 50 feet, it helps us determine whose property is what and who is out of compliance, which allows us to enforce the law properly. Anything else?
In regards to the making the stuff criminally prosecutable, we've had some challenges because we do want to hold them accountable when they're not listening and they don't want to comply at all. And so we've had to get creative with using various fish and game codes and other things to include the exclusion will exclude people from city property. But changing the current ordinance and allowing us to criminally prosecute and making them a little bit tighter on the restrictions to where we can cite these people for these under specific circumstances. Not everybody, but if they're not complying and we don't have anything else, like she said, it just gives us another tool in our toolbox that we can utilize to hold these people accountable when they don't want to listen at all.
So my first question is, with this new ordinance, will we ever get to a place where we can clear all the camps out of the ravine? I mean, I know we're always going to have some contingent of homeless, but it seems like this we just keep going back and forth with, you know, the encampments, and now they're tighter. But I would like to see it completely cleaned out of there and nobody's allowed to camp down there. Are we ever going to get to that? And does this help us get to that?
I think this can help us get to that step. I mean, I think the reality and what we struggle with at our monthly meetings and just working out in the field every day is Lincoln has done an exceptional job of reducing the number of homeless campers in the time I've been here. I think when I originally came here about 5 years ago, we had 47 in our point in time count. And we're anticipating, you know, low 20s when we do our point in time count later this month. There will always be homeless. I just think that's probably the reality of our situation, particularly in California with the otherwise extremely lenient laws and governance. So our goal has been to minimize the impact to our community to the greatest extent possible. And we're continuing along that path until we think we can get to a point where we can expand maybe our temporary transitional housing project and make that available to more people. Right now, it's pretty much at capacity. But we've also been very strict on the individuals that we're willing to let participate in that program because we want it to be successful. And we don't want new residents who maybe don't quite meet the standards that we've imposed to date to come in and then impact the residents who are of the program that are doing what we've asked them to do and are being successful. So I wish I could give you a clear-cut answer that yes, absolutely, one day we'll be able to clear them all out of the ravine. The reality is there will be homeless. They're going to have to go somewhere. And our goal has been to try to make sure that they're not sleeping in the doorways of our businesses.
Right.
That they're not as visible in our downtown or in 12 Bridges where families are coming to, you know, engage in activities and go out to dinner and enjoy the restaurants and stores and that kind of thing. So we've been having to, it's a fine line to walk, and, you know, certainly any guidance the council wants to give us on that, we're willing to take back to the team and try to come up with solutions. But that is our goal. It is just a lofty one, and it's been one that we've been working diligently to reduce the population, reduce the traffic in that location, restrict the areas within which that they can camp in the ravine. We've actually created absolutely no camping zones. For example, the ravine side over on Flakini, that was a very heavily populated area when I first joined the task force, and for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is that when you do get a 911 call from a homeless individual that's down there, it was practically impossible to get emergency services down there to find them, to extract them, to provide the assistance that's needed. So the location that they've been limited to is at least an area that we can access more easily and readily, and we know where to find them.
Well, thank you for that. No, I understand, I recognize that's the hard part, right? It's, we don't want them on the sidewalks sleeping in front of business doors, but I also long for the days where people could walk down the ravine and take their kids on a walk in the trails, play in the water. And, you know, I feel like it's a public health issue. But I do want to tell you, I'm very grateful for Chief having the foresight to you know, create this unit and the work that you guys are doing in code enforcement. So grateful. And it's helpful for the council when people are coming at us about homeless, and we can point to, we have 2 dedicated officers. That's what you do. We have code enforcement. We have all these things that we're working on. And so I think altogether we've done a great job to tackle it, and nobody can come at us and say that we haven't, which helps us in our litigation. But I'm just, you know, not frustrated with anybody's effort, just frustrated the fact that we can't just, you know, clean it all out and keep it clean. However, we have made a lot of progress. I remember touring with you on that other side of Flakini. That was probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And now you guys have got it all cleaned up. They're not allowed to be there. So that's just kind of like what I would like to see is as we tighten up the camping, that, you know, they're not allowed to just hang out there and wreck the ravine in perpetuity. Like, I want to see that done.
And there are options that we've talked about that we can continue to explore. And, you know, I think there's been some hesitancy and resistance toward sort of creating a mini tent city akin to what they have in Auburn, where, you find a location of property that's maybe a little more out of sight, out of mind, and that is the only place that they're allowed to camp. My sense is that that is not an appealable option or appealing option either. But so we have floated a number of different concepts and ideas, and we kind of are where we are because of that. But again, always open to new ideas, concepts, program thoughts, and your input.
I really want to say thank you for all the work that everybody does in this, because it is an amazing community and law enforcement and efforts for the task force. And to me, I agree with you 100%. And I've said it before that you're never going to get rid of homeless people because there's always going to be new ones or one or two that just decide to, that's the way that they want to live. And we can't take away their choice if they're, obeying the ordinances and rules and whatnot. However, baby steps is kind of the best way to put it, because anybody that has any knowledge or understanding of what these folks go through, yeah, it takes a lot for a community to come together, even for one or two or three. But in the end, with the success that we're having, how do you not continue to put that forward and make the adjustments that we are, so that they can be safe and so that they can have that responsibility? And it would be nice to have that one day, and maybe we can set that as a goal. And when I say a goal, I mean, yesterday. That would be an ultimate goal, absolutely. Or even have a program expanded enough that it is such that it's not allowed to have camping, and that we have something in place with a community that's willing to help.
And one additional thought on that point, I can't remember if it made my staff report because I prepared this so long ago. I think we were in transition, but the city has worked closely with the Lincoln Community Foundation, Monabass, and we have actually worked to help create a nonprofit called Lincoln CA Cares. And we are going to be, as a city, turning over the management and operation of our temporary transitional housing program to that nonprofit, who will then in turn hire a program manager to manage the day-to-day operations, because it's just become too much to expect from one volunteer. So I'm currently on the board of directors for that nonprofit, as is Monabass, Chris Knudsen, and some other members, and Ms. Tetley, who's a representative of the church. And so we've got a really strong board. We're starting to get our bylaws and everything in place and our bank accounts open so that we can start doing some nonprofit fundraising. If the community is also, looking for some place to give, that's going to be a program that's going to be Lincoln-centric and Lincoln-focused on this very specific issue.
Another question that I had, because when we talk about our homeless population, we always talk about that they're from Lincoln, they don't want to go anywhere else. Have you seen a lot of new arrivals, especially since TGI has announced their plans here? We've heard a lot of rumors, we've heard different stories, and if you have seen a lot of, or a few new arrivals, what's the tolerance level for people that just come from different places that want to just pop down here?
We have had a few travelers come in. It's not specific to TGI, and they're just passing through. Just recently, one opened up a camp where they're not supposed to. He was polite. We talked to him. We said, hey, it's not a camping area. If you want to camp in Lincoln, it's got to be in this area. He moved it within the day and is now camping across. I think he's from Alaska, but I mean, we just get odd people that are traveling and they show up here and then sometimes they just disappear and they continue traveling somewhere else. In regards to TGI, I've really only seen one that we talked to. He came down here because he heard TGI was opening up, and he's since moved on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions, comments?
The only comment I make is my sincere gratitude to the whole team that's been working on this. This ordinance is a very small piece of a long game. I support moving forward in that, and thank you again for all of your efforts.
Dean, thank you for pulling it all together. I think it's important for the community to understand the totality of what we're doing here, because it is so different. You don't have to go very far to see communities talking the talk. We walk the walk, and we're pulling it together, and we're making it happen. This is, I think, a unique outcome, and it's a team effort. You guys, thank you for everything that you're doing.
Yeah, like my fellow council members and Mayor Andrea said that I'm sincerely grateful for your work. It is a job I wish you didn't have to do and wasn't available and no one needed to do it. And I also agree with Councilmember Reedy and Mayor Andreatta that it would be definitely in favor of moving forward and trying to move, I mean, it would be ideal to clean out the creek completely, to revisit maybe some of the other options that were discussed and maybe come up with a new idea. But that would be ideal because it is unfortunate that people can't just walk down there and enjoy our open spaces and feel safe in that area. But thank you very much. Appreciate your work.
Besides more money, what else do you need from us? What else can we do? I mean, kind of a silly question. 'Cause
Money's
we
always a
have
good
no money.
start.
Yeah, money's a good start. Yeah, okay. Thank you, officers. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, if there's no other comments or questions, then I'm ready for a motion.
I'll move to adopt by title only ordinance 1085B.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl, Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriotta.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Christine. Appreciate all your work on that. All right. Item 10, general business. 10A, adopt resolution 2025-007, establishing an Adopt a Street program and approving the program guidelines, registration packet, sign design, and proposed adoptable street locations. Adopt a Street program in the amount not to exceed $15,000 the first year and no more than $5,000 each additional year, funded by the Streets Division Fund and Solid Waste Division Fund. And Matt, are you going to do, oh,
We got some
Go.
people here.
yay, awesome. Woo, wonderful.
We come with an entourage.
Oh, we even get a board.
Oh, wow, we've got visuals too. That's so great. Visuals, oh, sorry.
Good
Hi.
evening, Mayor, Council. Jackie Dunlap, Senior Office Assistant, Public Works Department. The item we have before you is a request to approve a new Adopt a Street program for the city of Lincoln.
Yes.
All right, we're done.
Like, bye.
That was so easy. In December 2023, an Adopt a Street team was formed by employees from each division in the Public Works Department to develop this program to help with litter removal. The City of Lincoln's Adopt a Street program is part of a litter reduction campaign designed to remove litter and debris from the city streets and improve the quality of our environment. It is similar to programs in over 20 other states and 16 other counties. This program establishes a partnership between volunteer groups and the City of Lincoln by working together in an effort to control litter in the public right-of-way. It allows local City of Lincoln businesses, corporations, and organizations to participate in maintaining and enhancing Lincoln's streets. It is also designed to operate with a minimum of red tape and with minimum supervision by the City of Lincoln and allow citizens to work responsibly at their own convenience. This program is designed to be fun and educational, to promote civic responsibility, community spirit, and camaraderie, and to provide an opportunity to accomplish something worthwhile. I'm going to turn it over to Michael Voorhees to talk about the streets portion of the project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Mike Voorhees with the Public Works Streets Department. I'm here to present this map and briefly describe our process in choosing the best candidates for our Adopt a Street program. As a group, we decided on these 10 streets highlighted on the map provided to you that they are highly traveled and visible to the public and provide a safe working area for participants. To list a few, Lincoln Boulevard, McBean Park Drive, East Avenue, and Nicholas Road were all chosen because these areas are all frequently used throughout each day and collect a lot of roadside trash. If the Adopt a Street program is successful, it will provide advertisement for local businesses and help keep our city looking fresh and clean. Thank you. Michael Swain.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Michael Swain. I work in Parks and Facilities Department. I'll be talking about safety. Safety of our residents, volunteers, and staff will always be our primary objective within the city of Lincoln. We have established a set of rules and guidelines each volunteer will be expected to follow. We have also created a mandatory safety video each participant will have to watch prior to their first cleanup. The video explains safety precautions and methods on how to be safe in certain environments while doing various tasks, and to ensure that all volunteers understand the safety protocols they will need to follow. This will help each volunteer do their best at being safe and avoiding potential accidents and injuries. The city will also be providing all the necessary PPE for each volunteer, including, but not limited to, high-vis safety vests, protective gloves, and protective glasses. I will now pass this on to Travis Espinoza. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. I'm here to talk to you about the signs we're gonna have. The city is gonna provide 2 signs for each segment of the street adopted. The signs will provide the sponsoring organization's name only. They'll be owned and installed and maintained by the city. It'll be 24 inches tall and 36 inches wide with the space 12 by 28 for the business name. And then we will be using actual vinyl decal inside the blank space area that's be provided by our fleet division. So that way we can potentially reuse the sign as long as it's within its lifespan and still good. And then we actually also just got done with a web page for the program. It'll be ready to go and roll out. It's actually already ready. As soon as we get approval, we'll be able to throw it on the city website, and everyone will be able to go check out the sign, be on there, and all the information about the program. And Joe, let's talk to you about some benefits to the community.
Hello, Mayor, Council. My name is Joe Gollin. I'm solid waste. So, you know, like we go down the road every day, we look around, we see trash, you know. I'm a solid waste guy. I see trash every day, you know. But, you know, the benefits that come around to this is it keeps our city fresh and clean for people coming in from the outside, you know, and they really, you know, whenever I go somewhere, I always look around, you know, and see what it looks like. You know, do I want to go back there again? Oh, yeah, sure, you know, it's clean. I'm going to go back, you know. So keeping up with that, it's building the relationship with the community, with the businesses also, and the Public Works Department. Another great benefit is promoting local businesses with the sign that Travis spoke about. And also social media shout outs for all the adopters, like get online and say, hey, good job. We also have recognition plaques for our top 3 adopters. That's kind of like, hey, you know, put this in your business, you know, that you care about Lincoln, you know. So the annual estimate to remove up to 15 yards of trash is currently estimated for the city staff for like a 3-week period for 2 people is like about $72 an hour, which the annual cost is $17,280 that we're paying out of pocket to do this. So, in that, turn it back over to Jack.
The staff recommends that council adopt Resolution 2025-007, authorizing the city council to establish and adopt a street program and approving the program guidelines, registration packet, sign design, and proposed adoptable street locations. Concludes our presentation. We're open for any questions.
Thank you very much. That was amazing, you guys. All right, questions?
Can I adopt the first one?
Yeah.
It's yours.
Yes.
I really love that, I was gonna say 90%, but maybe 85% of that is in my district.
We planned it that way.
We'll get you a vest.
Yeah, I would best, you know,
Get you
can I have a
vest.
whistle too? I mean,
Yes.
okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Yeah.
please, you know, my name on them, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
Oh, I think this is great.
Well, we'll give the public an opportunity here in a second, but I'm just super excited, like the ingenuity and the willingness to come together and put this together. Thank you guys very much. This
Good
is really, this is
presentation.
great. Yeah. This is just another example of what makes Lincoln so amazing. Like, we have the best public works and streets and everybody. I just love our people. You guys just make me want to do a cartwheel if I could do one. That's never been my talent. Okay, so let's open it for any public comments or any public questions. Anybody out there have any comments? Wow. Anybody online? No?
My only comment is I want to give a shout out to Mr. Medill.
Yeah.
And to Mr. Boynton, and for mentoring this staff and to have them all here presenting a staff report. I've been doing it for a long time and it's still scary for me. So
Well,
good job, you guys.
yes,
I'm
I-
very impressed.
While you were all speaking, I was thinking how impressed I was because staff doesn't like to do that. They don't like it at all. And you guys just got up there like champs. It was amazing. Yeah. All right. Well, if there's no other questions or comments, then I'm ready for a motion. Let's vote on this thing.
So you had me at good evening. And I want to echo, it was an amazing presentation, loved it. So I'll move to adopt resolution 2025-007.
I'll second.
All right, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Reedy.
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund.
Yes.
Mayor Andriotta.
Yes. Congratulations on a job well done. Thank you.
Great job.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I just wanted to say, when I'm out there doing my trash routes and stuff like that early in the morning, go back to the homeless people for a minute. I was gonna stand up and say something earlier, but I noticed from 7 years ago, from starting here, there was a lot of homeless people downtown, sleeping in dumpsters, behind dumpsters. You know, I run the commercial truck early in the morning. So there's been a couple times where I've ran across people, and just like the officer said, it's about respect for them as respect for me.
Right.
And so usually I have no kickback from any of those people. I say those people, that sounds so bad. The homeless people.
We know what you mean.
That it's just, the whole downtown area now is just so much better since all this stuff started kicking in. There was a lot of, it's just sleeping everywhere downtown. Now it's 20 times better. And I just want to appreciate and say thank you to everybody who's came together and helped me out and my job as well, what I do for the city and for the people that are in less fortunate situations.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
Thank you.
To add to that, just to go along with what you said, Christine, I ran into Mana the other day at the new East Avenue Coffee Shop, and she said, I just want to tell you, she's like, and we already kind of knew these numbers, but she said, I've counted 31 people that are not out there anymore. And I said, I know, Mana, that's just amazing. So I brag on Lincoln all the time, but this is one of those things where, especially in the middle of all this TGI litigation and all of the the op-eds that are written about us, that we're full of fear and anger and garbage like that, and I just tell people, like, look at what we're doing. Look at all the things that all of the people in our town, between our volunteers, between our staff, our officers, our code enforcement, the support the council has given, and other people who have joined the volunteer team because they wanted to help. There's no town in Placer County that can say that they're doing the same thing that we are. They're not. And again, not to say that, we're better than anybody else, but we are definitely special and I say it all the time, but
We are special.
we are very special and the people here are very special. And, sometimes people, just as a personal side note, sometimes people think that I'm a little aggressive or whatever. But I want to apologize for that when I stand up for our city. Because we've got great people here who are doing great work and we're making a difference. You guys are making a difference. Like, we are making a difference and I don't think anybody else can say that. And so I'll keep tooting that horn and I also just want to clarify my comment a minute ago about the term unhoused or homeless. I wasn't saying homeless people are stupid. I just don't like playing politically correct games. And not that you can use the word unhoused all you want to, but so that just irritates me, but I didn't want to detract. I didn't want my little humanness to detract from what was actually happening. So anyway, Thank you for that. That's awesome. Okay. Let's go on to item 10B. Adopt Resolution 2025-008, establishing the Hometown Heroes Banner Program. Staff recommends adopting a resolution establishing a Hometown Heroes Banner Program. And Matt and Scott. Take it away.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll share the stage with Scott here. We have our staff watching us, and I don't know if we can live up to the benchmark of professionalism that they set, but we're going to give it a shot. Tonight, we're here before you to discuss and share the Hometown Heroes Banner Program. And it's going to be a brief presentation, and we're going to talk about the
Oh,
program.
come on now, Matt. You know you don't like to be brief.
I'm going to be brief. I'm going to let Scott do all the talking mostly. I'm going to run through this and then let him talk. Program detail, I know the under-overs. Yeah. Program details, Hometown Hero banner examples, banner installation locations, I'm going for record tonight, and the staff recommendation. The City of Lincoln has longstanding tradition of celebrating and honoring our military service members, both active and veterans. And we have more than 4,000 veterans in the City of Lincoln. The City of Lincoln will partner with Holiday Outdoor Decor, and they will set up the program for free, and effectively members of the community can sponsor a banner, and we will work to install those banners. And once the banner display period ends, those will be returned to those service members and or their families or sponsors. These are some examples. We do already have banners up in the community, and we will be using a lot of those locations. But this banner program's been adopted by cities all over the country. Some of the locations here in town that we're recommending where we already display banners are Lincoln Boulevard and McBean Park Drive. And I believe Scott said there's 24 or 27 current locations?
28, 18 on Lincoln Boulevard and 10 on McBean Park Drive.
And going back to the installation, one of the, I think, additional comments in your packet, this has incidental costs of staff installation and removal, but Scott had mentioned some of the banner brackets are mismatched and they're not all similar. So there's going to be an incidental cost, like Scott's always doing. He's upgrading and leveling up the City of Lincoln, and he wants, when we do place these banners, matching brackets for the banners, if approved. So the recommendation, and I'll let Scott talk after I get my record. Adopt the resolution 2025-08, establishing the Hometown Heroes banner, and I'll let Scott speak since this was actually his idea. So I'll let him speak to this recommendation.
Well, I don't really have too much to say. Everybody has the packet. I don't know if there's any questions. I'm not long-winded like Matt, so straight to the point. So I think it's going to be a great program, and hope you said your town, Yuba City also has this program going, so I think it's a great program. Sean said, let's move forward and get your guys' approval to do it. I think it's going to be great for our community. Not sure if there's any questions you guys have.
Yep. I just would add one little tidbit. I think this year, I don't know why it's been this year, but we've had just a lot of either past veterans that have passed away or heroes that we named something after, or there's the project at the airport. And so when Scott brought this, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, it's like Lincoln's brand, sort of. And one of the things that City Councilmember Pearl and I were discussing is we think this is actually a really nice little added thing as we try to get recertified as an All-America city, which we're working on this year.
I have one question, and it probably was in there. I probably missed it. So will these banners be for veterans who have passed away, or could it be for ones who are still living?
Current or passed away.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's awesome. I think I've seen this in other towns before, and I remember thinking, wow, that's really cool. So thank you for bringing this forward. Yeah.
You're going to do it, aren't you?
Can't help it.
Any questions on locations? I think Lincoln Boulevard would be a great spot in McBean. If we wanted to expand it in the future, we have the downtown area that we could do banners also.
Yeah, I think downtown would be great also.
I was just going to add that this would be an amazing complement to the Placer County Veterans Memorial at McBean Park,
Yeah,
considering it's on McBean.
absolutely, absolutely. Good. Okay.
One comment, I was blown away by the fact that there are 4,000 veterans here in our city. And I just found out that the US population, 6% of adults are veterans. We double that in Lincoln,
Wow.
double that.
Another reason why we're just so great. Thank you, Richard. Okay, any public comment on this item? Yes, Mr. Chapman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members, city staff. My wife and I had the opportunity to do a little traveling this summer, and we were doing several of the southern states, and we pulled into several towns, and they weren't really large towns. I mean, if you blinked, you pretty much almost missed them, but they were so frequent, and that's what caught our attention. And my wife and I looked at that, and we said, you know what? That alone spoke for the hometown feel. It was something that caught our attention. We were totally surprised by that. We did stop at one Chamber of Commerce there along the way and asked them about it. And we also noticed that not only was it veterans who had passed away and those are still living, they even actually had service people in the smaller towns who had just enlisted in whatever that was, and whatever their graduation picture was, that went up there. So it told the people in the surrounding area and the town itself who was actively doing this, and it was a really nice shout out for everybody else in civic pride. So I think this is an absolutely outstanding program. Thanks.
Anybody else? Anybody online? No? Okay. All right, well, let's bring it back, and if there's no other comments or questions, ready for a motion?
A motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Reedy.
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund.
Yes.
Mayor Andriotta.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just another quick little note since I'm on my soapbox tonight. I'm always amazed at our senior leadership and staff that are always forward-thinking, that are always looking to make things better. You guys don't just, sit on your laurels and just collect a paycheck and just do your job, skating by. They're always working to raise the bar and to do really innovative, creative things. And not every town has that, and I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, item 10C, adopt resolution 2025-009, approving the establishment of an Economic Innovation Award titled the John Fett Economic Innovation Award.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. It's my, it's my distinct and unique honor to propose the John Fett Economic Innovation Award for City Council consideration. If you didn't know John, I can't explain him to you in words. He's really somebody that you had to meet in person to understand him. But suffice to say, without going through his entire history, John and his wife Janice moved here to Lincoln, and pretty quickly thereafter, John, who was, I think, semi-retired, I think John was always semi-retired on some level, at least during his time here, decided to get pretty involved with the city and our economic development committee. When I started the city a little over 3 years ago, he was one of the first people that I met and immediately wanted to get together and talk about a series of ideas and projects that he felt really passionate about. He served on the EDC for a number of years, and a little over a couple of years ago, citing some health concerns, he resigned from the EDC. That said, while he was going through those health challenges, I can share with everyone that it would be rare for a week or certainly a couple weeks to pass where I didn't hear from John about a new project that he thinks we should try to pursue, a new business that was looking for a home and it could possibly be in Lincoln, what we could do kind of larger scale to move the needle in retail development here in town. He was instrumental in the creation of our hotel incentive program. He was instrumental in helping the owners of the La Quinta Hotel, which has just opened, getting that project off the ground. The list goes on and on and on. But one of the things that I included in the report that I thought was particularly important and why we're bringing this forward is that our committee system today looks nothing like it did years ago. Even a few years ago, the EDC had a bunch of folks that were really interested in economic development, but there was no staff person assigned to the committee. Meetings sometimes didn't even have quorums. What we were trying to accomplish or the group was trying to accomplish wasn't always clear, it was vague. And John really took a leadership role in making sure that people were excited about it, focusing the efforts on what we wanted to try to accomplish. And I'm not sure without that level of excitement that we would be where we are today. So City Council Member Pearl suggested to me some time ago that, John, well, let me get to the remainder of the story. Tragically, on October 25th of last year, John passed away after a prolonged battle with cancer. After that, Councilmember Pearl and I were discussing different ways that we could try to remember John. And one of the ideas he came up with was this idea of an Economic Innovation Award, which would allow us to communicate and honor Mr. Fett's service while also recognizing what he was really passionate about, which is innovative economic development efforts in our community. So to that end, here is sort of how we have designed this award and program, and I'll explain a little bit about the method here in a second. So it aims to encourage and celebrate creative economic strategies that significantly benefit Lincoln. It would be presented as warranted, but no more than once a year, and would be given to either an individual or a business or suppose a group that demonstrated the development or delivery of a new business concept that advances the economic interests of Lincoln. Alternatively, it could also be granted to individuals or businesses that help create new programs that contribute to the overall economic development climate within Lincoln. We are not recommending any overly rigid definition of what a project, business, program, or action could be considered for the award, because John would say, I think, that creativity is sort of the heart of economic development. And so we want to encourage creativity in this award. And, it's not like winning the Nobel Prize. There's no cash award associated with it, or I don't know that you're going to end up on NBC News that night or anything like that. But I think it's a nice way to recognize people that really go a step further to bring something unique to our community. There's a ton of different structures that we thought about that could be under which the award could be issued. Our recommendation is that the city council establish a committee comprised of 2 council members, 1 staff person, which would probably be our economic development specialist, and the CEO of the Lincoln Area Chamber of Commerce, and at least 1 local business or business person. That group of 5 people is essentially an ad hoc committee. They'd informal in nature. They'd meet only when needed to consider potential candidates for award. We created some kind of nomination period and a real simple 1-page form that someone could nominate a person for. And the group meets, they choose the person, and then that award is given at the Lincoln Area Chamber of Commerce Business Excellence Award dinner, which happens every year. We also probably would bring them to city council and do some type of presentation as well. So that's kind of the program in a nutshell. We try to keep it as simple as possible. And, these kinds of things, while, I'm not sure that they're going to make, like I said, headline news, are really important, because if you don't recognize people and individuals that really go above and beyond, and keep in mind, John earned $0 in all of his time and service here for the city. 0. In fact, I'm sure John spent money in that effort. And so in that vein, and John's a lovely wife, Janice, is here tonight. And So in that vein, we wanted to sort of recognize those other people that are going to come after him. And so that's my report. I know Councilmember Pearl has comments, and I'll leave it at that. And happy to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you. I first came across John 4 years ago when he ran a political campaign for Jason Price, and he and I linked up. That's when I first came across him, and then subsequently he joined a lunch group that we're in. We meet every Tuesday, so every Tuesday for 4 years, I was able to break bread with John. There are, in any organization, there are a whole bunch of members, and then there's the 80-20 principle, then you got a couple of people who work it, and then you have 5% leaders. There are very, very few people who I'm going to call spark plugs or innovators. They just push the envelope. They don't know how to say no. They don't know when to say stop. You have to physically grab them and say stop, something like that. But those are the people who make change. And Mayor, that you were talking about what makes Lincoln so great, and that's just part and parcel of it. I do remember John coming up to me and saying, "Richard, we got to sell the airport." I go, "No, John, we're not going to sell. Oh yeah, we can do this. All that land has 700 acres. So this is going to be just absolutely fabulous." "No, John, we're not going to do that." "Okay, I'll take the 90 acres over here and we'll do that." But John was at virtually every meeting that I was in with him, every engagement. There was always an idea coming off. It was like the rays coming out of a sun. I mean, he just never stopped. And that's why he was such a special person. So Janice, thank you for sharing him with us. And this is going to be, I can't think of a final legacy for someone like John to remembered, because this is help what's driving Lincoln going forward. So it's endearing. Thank you, thank you. And Janice, would you stand up, please?
Yeah, would you like to say a few words, Jesus?
Please.
Madam Mayor and council and city staff, thank you for coming up with this idea. I think Sean might have been the ringleader. Yeah, John, he'd be really proud. He is passionate about Lincoln. He loved serving here in any capacity. I mean, I was hard to keep him away. I mean, if he didn't come to the meeting, he was watching the meeting. Same thing in our neighborhood, HOA. If there was a committee, he wanted to be part of it. Yeah, he was a doer, an innovator. I loved his energy. When we first met, it was a weekend and Monday was about to roll around and he said, "Gosh, I'm glad it's Monday tomorrow. I can't wait to get back to work." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't feel that way." But anyway, I do appreciate your effort in acknowledging him. I think he deserves it, and I'd be excited to see who will be awarded that. And how will we know that? Well, I guess I'd be watching the minutes to see if there was an announcement
Well, we'll
about
let
it.
you know.
Yeah,
We'll let
that'd
you
be
know.
great.
Yes.
So again, I appreciate your acknowledging his efforts because he was pretty passionate about Lincoln and making a difference. You know, people join committees and they're often not a doer, but he was a doer. So anyway, I miss him.
How are you doing, Janice?
I'm doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah, some days are better than others. Yeah, he was a pretty big presence, so
Yes.
the house is like really quiet. But anyway, thank you all again. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
All right, good night.
Else, any comments? I've shared this story a few times too. Same with Richard. Not only the airport, he would, be talking about the airport, and then he would start talking about moving the rodeo. And I kept getting all these things about like, why does the city want to get rid of the rodeo? And I'm like, John, you have to quit trying to act like we're wanting to get rid of the rodeo. I go, I understand what you're doing. You want to use the land and move them someplace better. I said, but you're making it seem like we want to get rid of the rodeo. I said, you're causing problems for me, man. And what was funny is if Paul Joyner would tell him something, they would kind of go at it. But I would tell him and he goes, "Okay, Holly, I hear you. I hear you." I'm like, you're hilarious. But John was a good friend above all. John was very supportive, and he did what he did because he wanted Lincoln to be successful. And we all miss him. So thank you for this award. It's going to be something to remember him by moving forward. And I will say too about the La Quinta, we've toured it right before they opened, and Jeanette Gerton has been spending like hours and hours and hours just putting together all of the, just everything. It's beautiful. If you haven't seen it, go look at it, rent a room, stay the night, whatever. But we were talking about just all the stuff that they went through to get open. And John was so supportive and so helpful, but also the fact that he brought forward on the EDC, the TOT rebate thing that they are going to have for the next few years to help them get going and get on their feet. And she and I talked about that the other day, and she was so grateful for that. And that wouldn't have happened probably without John. And so that benefits them, it benefits us. And so we're very grateful for everything he did. And I'm excited about this award moving forward. And when everybody's ready to make a motion, let's adopt this thing. If you guys don't have any other comments.
I'll move that we adopt the resolution for creating the John Fed Economic Innovation Award.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Reedy,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearl,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Eklund,
Yes.
Mayor Andriotta.
Yes. All right, thank you for that.
And Janice, I miss him too.
Yeah, we miss him.
I think that we should have you give the award to.
Well, we'll definitely make sure you get invited to the dinner so you can participate, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
To the future
Pictures.
movers and shakers.
Yes,
Be in the
exactly.
pictures.
Okay, item number 11, city manager reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple reports tonight. Tomorrow night at, hold one moment, 5 o'clock at McBean Pavilion, there's a meeting regarding a change to FEMA flood maps that that affects some areas of Lincoln that are not inhabited, and actually, unfortunately, for now at least, affects some properties that are actually developed where people live. And so what that means, it means a lot of things. One of the things that it means is that it could create a scenario where those people that own property or homes in those affected areas have to now acquire flood insurance where maybe they didn't thus before that. What you will hear partially tomorrow night is the city, Vin and his team are appealing some of the map, the areas that have been drawn on the map because we think they're incorrect. We think that the topography in some of those areas have changed, and so therefore, especially the inhabited areas are not at a flood risk that would necessitate them being part of this area. And so that's a process that involves the federal government. Vin and his engineers are all clued in on that. So if you want to attend tomorrow night, there's a map. If I don't think we have it posted online at the moment, but if you contact either me or any city staff, Vin's team, and you want to see the map, we can circulate that for you. Primarily if you live in the Meadowlands area, which is northeast of here, you probably are affected. Other than that, it's primarily areas you would expect along some of our creek systems. So that's one. And even if you're not affected, you're more than welcome to attend. It's probably somewhat interesting. The next meeting, the next workshop that we're going to do in February, we have a list of a number of workshop items. We're probably going to have more of them than we have traditionally in the past. There's a lot of kind of relevant items at the moment. The first one that's been waiting for this new city council that I intentionally held because it'll be our problem to sort out is there's a library funding gap that is approaching us in 5 months. Sierra College, Community College District has pulled out of a 3-party agreement that stood for a pretty long time, ever since that library was built. And it was their contractual right to do so, and there's a bunch of good reasons that they're doing that, so I'm not casting a shade that way, but it does create a really unique challenge because it essentially deletes roughly a third of our operating costs, expenses out there, or excuse me, revenues, and it's a challenge. So Catherine has put together a really great presentation about how we can, in the short term, deal with that, what it might look like. From my seat, when we look at revenue and expenditures, the classic by the book way to deal with that is you simply cut. to meet either a zero-based budget or whatever you're at. Problem with library in addition to and as well as rec and other kind of similar governmental services is they're kind of classic loss leaders. In other words, we would never want to charge what it actually costs to provide recreational library services because no one would ever take advantage of them. They're designed to be affordable for people or free in many cases. Anyway, that's coming. I just want to kind of prime the pump so that people are ready for that discussion. We have some really good solutions, we think, that will help us at least in the short term and some others for the long term as well. Couple more real quick things. Chief Alves and Chief Mejia authorized a fire crew to be sent to Los Angeles to aid in the fires down there. Our Public Works Director, Matt, has also, I don't know that it may be they may take advantage of it, but we're also part of a program where if in a major disaster, whether it be LA or anywhere else in California, they need water, sewer professionals that, we employ many of them. Sometimes that's a real mutual aid need where, wells go down or you need crews that know what they're doing in the system. And so they could stand ready to help if necessary. We are going to, I haven't got it scheduled yet, but we are going to restart and retool the strategic planning process for the city council. I'm trying to get consultant lined up for late February. So, special meeting in that late February, early March timeline. And then last thing, and then I wanted to pass to Christine for a quick TGI PSA. In case, I know the city council is well aware of this, but in case you haven't been following, we did get the final vote totals for how Measure B played out per community this last Sunday. And in order for that measure to have passed within Lincoln, Rockland, and Roseville, we would have needed to add a totality of 66% plus one. We in Lincoln passed that measure by essentially 21,000 votes at 68%. Roseville passed it at 63% and Rockland at 61%. All of that totaled up to a total vote tally of 93,000-ish votes and 63%. So 63.8%. So a couple points off of where we needed to be. Obviously, depending on your political view, you may be happy about that outcome, you may not. But what I can say is that it creates a different kind of challenge for all of the cities in the region to try to manage not just the big problems like 65 and Highway 80 interchange, but our local normal stuff, routine maintenance and expansion of existing facilities and modernization. It just creates new challenges. And so we're looking at different opportunities to pivot, because what we do know and we acknowledge is that the streets department won't be able to survive on our normal gas tax allowance that we get through SB1 and other sources. It just isn't, it's insufficient, not just in Lincoln, it's insufficient everywhere. So more to come on that. And then I'm going to pass to Christine.
Thank you, Council. So I just wanted to make sort of a public service announcement regarding the status of the gathering in litigation that the City of Lincoln has filed. The first real public opportunity to participate in a public hearing in the court process is going to be February 11th at 8:30 a.m. That is going to be the hearing on the gathering in and the state's demur to our first amended complaint. So this is a motion that the opposition has filed, basically saying, even if you assume everything articulated in the City of Lincoln's complaint is true, there's no legal basis to allow them to proceed forward with the causes of action as they are pled. We have filed oppositions to those motions, and they are available on the city's website that is dedicated to updating the public on the gathering in. But if the public would like to attend that hearing, again, it is February 11th, 8:30 a.m. in Department 42 at the Placer County Superior Court that's off of Industrial Boulevard. I will caution the public that the courtrooms are relatively small, and security, I think, opens at 8 o'clock, and there is a screening that you'll have to go through in order to get into the department, which is on the second floor. And so Just also, I've seen some chatter or heard some chatter on social media about, showing up in mass with signs and T-shirts, and I would just ask that we be respectful of the process. I know we're all good Lincolnites and we're very passionate about our city, and I know you will have respect for this bench so that she can give us the best decision that's in her power and ability to do so. So no signs would probably be even permitted by the bailiffs in the courtroom, but certainly if you wanted to be out on the sidewalks and in those public spaces, that could be available to you. And certainly if you wanted to show your unanimity in wearing matching T-shirts or something along those lines, that's certainly respectful and welcome as well. So if anyone has any questions, they can reach me here at City Hall. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about the demur, what it means, and what that process looks like going forward.
Thank you, Christine. Is that everything, Sean, for you? Okay, great. All right, item number 12, council initiated business. Anybody have any business?
I have one. I wanted to see if we could put together a workshop for going through our emergency procedures for the city scenarios and whatnot, so that as a council, that we're very familiar with those. As you can see, the devastation stuff down south. That not only that, but I've also had a few other residents approach me and ask some of those questions, and I said, I will let you know.
It's a great idea.
I know we have emergency procedures and plans, but it would be good for us to be
absolutely
updated on those.
I talked to you about that this afternoon. We spend not as much time as we'd like to because, we spend a lot of time prepping for things. You don't do the things you got to do every day, but we have spent a fortune and a lot of time developing emergency operation plans and trainings. For our new council members, there will be a series of disaster preparedness trainings called NIM-SIMS that we're going to recommend if you have time to participate in. But one quick side to that is one of the things I'm really proud of with our police department is, and our fire department, is that they take these trainings and tabletop exercises really seriously. The chief and his department have made a practice now for 2 or 3 years in a row, 3 years now, of actually running real life, simulated school shooting exercises at a couple of our different high school, or both high schools in town, to give the officers the experience of what it would feel like, sort of, to come into that environment and how you would approach it and the method they're going to take. And that's just one example of dozens of different potential disasters that could occur. And so we'd be very proud to do that for you. And also, by the way, if you would like to participate at some point in the future as a victim, or I think even a shooter, we do that sometimes too. We use airsoft guns and it does hurt. And so if you'd like to do that, let me know.
There you go.
I got to be a victim. That was definitely an experience I will never forget. And I had a greater appreciation, which I didn't know was possible, for how prepared our police are. And I hope that they never have to implement the practices, but I recommend that experience to anybody who's able to take advantage of it.
I do have one thing that I wanted to bring up, and I had asked for it to be on this meeting, but then I forgot to follow up. Even though we were already in it, I would still like to have a formal swearing in for Mayor Pro Tem Brown. Yes, and we were supposed to do that at the beginning, but it wasn't on the agenda, and then we just kind of jumped into things. And so even though we'll be doing it at our second meeting, I would still like to do that. So if you guys can make sure that gets put on the top of the agenda next time, and be ready for that. So, because it's important. You're welcome. Anybody else?
Just a point of clarification. When we moved 10 Delta, is that the right one? Yes, up to the front. Did we also adopt at the same time the revised
Yes.
agenda? If we
Yes.
did, that's fine. Just wanted to make
Yes,
sure.
we
Perfect.
did.
Great.
Yep.
Cool. Love simplicity.
Yeah. Okay, item number oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to pick up on what Ben about daylighting, not only that we have one and being familiar with it, but also what the community should expect from us when there's a disaster, how we're going to communicate, how that's going to work. And then maybe using it as an opportunity to see if there's some items that we should be bringing forth to our strategic plan in terms of areas where we can improve. So to speak.
Can I just ask one, just a temperature question? We haven't typically done more than one item on a workshop. I think maybe once we did. But if we were really efficient with our time, hour and a half, let's say, I think we could probably get this item on to a workshop night where we maybe had the library item or something else so that we aren't, I think it'd be better to try to stack these a little bit so that you're not waiting for some of these other ones till like April or May, because,
Just bring lunch.
No, I'll
Oh.
say, we can do that, bring dinner. Yeah,
Okay, got
so,
it.
yes, I think that's a great idea. It's more efficient use of time. Perfect. Okay, item 13, committee reports. I don't imagine that anybody has any committee reports. Yes, yeah.
Well, I mean.
Did you have you?
Yeah, small one, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, Placer County will be implementing a new website, called Placer, 2050 that has an updated plan. So they didn't say exactly, and I only have this information just because of the rural map.
Did you get that, the Mac? Okay, cool.
Their general plan.
Yeah, the general
Yeah, the
plan
general
will be
plan.
updated.
Yeah.
With a new website that says Placer 2050.
All right, information items. Anybody have any information items?
Nope.
Great. All right, no? Okay. All right, well, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Great.